Hi, everyone. Okay, so today I've been asked by my manager to create a system that allows the public to report suspicious activity in the area. And then that report then gets sent to a machine learning service that we have that will determine if that activity is already on our radar and kind of any information about it will be returned. Also, we want to be able to provide, we also want for users to be able to report it through different channels like chat and email. So here, I'm using a cool tool called Kaoto, and Kaoto allows for me to create these integrations without coding anything unless I want to. So for the first platform, we can start with Telegram as an example. So we would just build it this way, drag and drop it onto here, configure, put our authorization token and everything in there. And then there's quite a few steps that we have to do for the machine learning service. It would involve definitely like an HTTP sync and some other queries in there, which this is straightforward enough. This looks good. So what's the problem with it? Well, I did say that we wanted to have different reporting methods like email and chat. So all of the steps that we would have to configure for the machine learning service, we would have to repeat for each of those. So, I mean, it's not ideal. But thankfully, we have our Camel expert on the call, Maria.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Maria. So what I'm looking for is I'm creating a system where the public they can report any suspicious activity through different platforms like Telegram or email, and then that gets sent to our machine learning service that will then return any relevant information and say yes, this was on our radar, or no, it's not. So what I want is I don't want to have to configure that machine learning part for every single integration that I have to do for each platform. So is there something that can kind of save time for us on this?
Sure. I think the best way to approach this is to create a new step, like the steps you have seen already in your catalog, but a new step that does exactly what you want to do with this machine learning system and everything. And then you can use this step that will act as a black box into your integration. This way, if in the future you change the method, you change the algorithms, you change the endpoints, you can just change that step, and then you just have to rebuild the integrations you do, but without having to redo the integrations by itself. So this kind of step, which is called a Kamelet, can also be done with Kaoto. So let me share my screen so you can see how I'm doing this. Is it sharing? Yes. So as you can see, this is a normal Kaoto. I can refresh it. The first thing I need to do is in the settings, change the type of thing I'm doing, because I'm not doing a Kamelet binding, which is an integration, but I'm doing a Kamelet, which is a step in that integration, in that Kamelet building. I'm going to change the namespace. So we use a namespace that is common for both of us and that Kaoto has privileges to deploy to. I'm going to change the name of this, I'm going to set up the name of this step, which is going to be criminal machine learning something. It detects if this is not a valid Knative Kubernetes resource name. And I can add some description like this will act as a black box to report suspicious activities. And now I can start with this Kamelet, this step, which by itself is going to be like an integration. So it's going to represent different a workflow of steps. And as you can see, the types of steps I have in my catalog are different from the ones Rachel have because I'm doing a different thing. I start with a Kamelet source, which means it's expecting that I am going to have a previous step in the integration. So the Kamelet source kind of links to the previous step. And now, well, I can already see the source code that is being created. It added some default data, like some default image for this icon that appears here on the steps. And if I go down, I can see that I already started with a Kamelet source and I don't have any more steps behind that. It detected my name. And I can start adding some other steps, like connecting to the HTTP endpoint that is going to be the machine learning thing. And I have the URL already here. It's very long. And I'm going to post to this URL. And you can see that this is being automatically generated here on the source code. And once I didn't detect the post. I don't know why. Yes, it's there. And now this endpoint will return a number. This number is going to represent or identify the criminal we think is related to this suspicious activity. And we want to connect to an SQL database that will extract information related to that criminal. So for this, we're going to do an SQL query. And we are going to use a data source bin. What is a data source bin? Well, this is something that is an object that will contain the name, username, password, and URL. And I can define it here on the source code. So it's a bin. I use the same name, ds bin, and it has a username, a password, and the URL where the database is. This, as you can see, Kaoto has detected some dependencies that we will need to deploy this integration. This is needed on the steps because this gets deployed via Apache Camel using Java. And but it didn't detect that this is a Postgres database or that we are using this type of data source. So I need to add manually a couple of dependencies more here. And these dependencies will be added, obviously, to the list of all the dependencies that are needed. This SQL returns an array of elements and an array or a list of rows from the database. And what I want to do is access the first one and extract the attribute that contains the information we want. So for doing this, I'm going to use a set body. This set body, what it does is replace the message that is flowing through the workflow of the integration by whatever I say. In this case, okay, I have this here. It's going to be, I get the body, I extract the first element of this array that the SQL is going to return, and I extract the info attribute. Well, now we have the text. So I'm going to return this to Rachel's integration. And to do this, I'm going to use a Kamelet sync. So to summarize it, what this does, it's a 5-step integration, and it first connects to this machine learning endpoint that recognizes, that gets everything that is sent via Telegram, mail, S3, whatever we connect to. And then with the result of that endpoint connects to a database, then it gets some information. We transform that data that comes from the database, and we finally go back to the integration so Rachel can maybe respond back to the reporter or whatever she wants to do. I'm going to check that the settings are right. Maybe I can do something else, which is a property. I'm not going to really use this property here because this is a fairly simple integration, but so you can see that here we have properties. If I add one property here of type string, it will act when Rachel uses this step in her integration inside Kaoto. When she opens it to configure it, it will show a text field like this one that has a title, a description, so she can configure it, and we could use this do me property here if we need it, which we are not doing, but just to show you that this can be done. And well, let's deploy this. If I deploy this, it means that I'm pushing this to the cluster, so it will be available for Rachel there. And you can see that it's running on the list of potential Kamelets that can be used. The rest of the Kamelets you can see here, they have not been deployed by us. They have been deployed by Camel K when it got installed in the cluster. But the important thing is that this camelet just acts as one of these other camelets that are given by default. So our camelets that we create, they will have exactly the same treatment, exactly the same properties or features that any of the other camelets. And I think that's it. You should be able to see it in your step catalog. So Rachel, if you want, you can continue doing your
Awesome.
integration.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Maria. So let's then go back, and I'm going to refresh it so I can clear everything. And obviously want to make sure I'm on the same namespace as Maria so that I can access the step. Okay, so then we go back to what we were doing originally. So this would mean we just start again with our Telegram example, just drag and drop into here. And then the difference is that then we would want to have, we would use the awesome step that Maria has just created for us that will save us a bunch of steps. And then for fun, we will have Telegram respond. So the sync will be Telegram as well. So then obviously the next thing is I want to just make sure I have the authorization token. We can obviously see here the dummy property that Maria has included for us as well. And then adding another authorization token here for Telegram sync. And I'll give it another name just so I know that it's my integration. And with that said, I guess we can go ahead and deploy it. But so this will take a few minutes to deploy because it's installing the dependencies and everything like that. But one thing that I want to comment is that you can see how much time this has saved us, because there were like 3 intermediate steps that Maria had just in this Kamelet alone. So so you can see that if I had, for example, 5 different reporting mediums I wanted, like email and chat, Telegram, I don't know, WhatsApp, then that's 3 times 5. That's 5 steps that, I'm sorry, that's 15 steps in total that we are being saved and not having to configure for each and every time. So it makes it very, very reusable. And so I think Maria is also monitoring the deployment for me as well. So
yes, so maybe you can show the list of deployments so you can see that it is building. This building phase is something that what it does is no, it just changed the status. That's why it says invalid, because it was changing to building to running. Sorry. So this building, what it does is just checking all the steps that we have defined in the YAML and getting all the dependencies needed and deploying it on the cluster. So sorry, Rachel, continue.
No, that's awesome. So yeah, we can see in the logs here that it is running now. So then the next thing is that we will just go to test it. Like we're going to pretend we're a user. We are, I don't know, sitting in the park. We've seen some suspicious activity. So here, this is the Kaoto bot, and I'm going to communicate with it. So you can see here from a previous message that I had sent, it's already responded to me. But I can say, hello, there is suspicious person. There's a suspicious person looking inside of people's cars. Perfect. And so we've gotten a response saying, yes, we have recognized this person. And this is potentially an accomplice that they have to, we have to keep an eye out for them as well. So that's awesome. Then this definitely saves us a lot of time. And what's good about this is, like Maria said, if ever we were to change to maybe not use a machine learning service or a different one, then it would be a matter of just swapping out the steps inside of the Kamelet, and we would not have to change anything in these integrations. So definitely a very valuable tool to have. And that's it for today. That concludes our demo. I hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.